From We Run With You, I'm Kathy Witten.
And I'm Rob Alvarez. Welcome to Season 3 of Doing Good. In this episode, we talk with San Jackson.
San shares some of the latest advances in therapy for stroke, AVM, and brain injury survivors that she is fortunate to have access to. She also discusses the meaningful difference that family involvement in therapy can make. Enjoy our insightful conversation with San, full of honest reflection and a little bit of laughter. Hi, San. Welcome to Doing Good. So glad you can make it to our show all the way from Oregon. And before we get started, I want to congratulate you on your comeback half marathon over Sunday. And not only was it a half marathon, but it was a trail race, which
Those are tough.
So I gotta give you major props. And she was third in her age group. And that's all we need to say.
And welcome.
True. Yes, true. And I do want to say it was a trail, but it wasn't as a paved trail. I'm so sorry, Rob. It was a paved trail, but there were plenty of humps and divots along the way. Okay, back to you, Rob.
You don't have to put disclaimers.
No disclaimers necessary. Hey, 13.1 is a pretty long distance. Yep.
But that is awesome.
It is.
Well, San, a pleasure to meet you. And I usually just jump straight into it. So hopefully you're ready. But I like to know, what do you remember of the days leading up to your ruptured AVM?
Everything. There's just nothing to remember. Everything was normal up to the point. So I had a very, I would say, latent AVM. It gave me that I'm aware of, no issues whatsoever. It was just the day of, the rupture that I actually felt fine. Yeah. And then my son was at my house. And I was telling him, man, I just feel really dehydrated. I was supposed to go play pinochle with a friend, and I took a shower and I still don't feel great. So that's pretty much what I feel, is this sense of not feeling good, taking a shower, thinking, I'll get some water, go sit out on the terrace. And then I was like, I really don't feel good, but maybe I better go in and call this thing off. But went in the house, thought I'll cool off, and kicked off. I had some kind of firm sandals on, and kicked them off and realized, I haven't kicked off my left one. And so kicked it off again. I'm like, well, I did kick it off. I was confused. Why did it feel like so at that point, I believe my foot was getting numb. Yeah. But there was no click yes, I didn't feel well. And then I was starting to get very tired. But again, that really big sense for me, of dehydration. And then I thought, I might be in trouble. This could be a stroke thing, because I am who I am, which is, I'm not proud of this. I know that there are certain signs of stroke that one should not check on themselves. But so I had photos of me sticking out my tongue to see if my tongue was going to one side or the other. At that point, it wasn't. So of course I wasn't having a stroke. Okay. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Anyway, so
that's very astute of you.
Yeah, but for crying out loud, it wasn't. It wasn't a really smart thing to do. Anyway, so I was degrading enough. We'll blame that on the brain bleed, but I was maybe with it enough to go, things are not going in the right direction here. I was just in my robe, and this is TMI, but I only had my robe on, and because I was going to get dressed. And then I thought, at one point my son is Joel. He was 22 at the time. And I thought, maybe I'll give him a call, but no, I don't want to, and then I was afraid that if I pass out or die, the last image I need him to have is of his mother naked. And so, being the good mom that I am, I tried to get dressed. I kid you not, you guys. I mean, this is not, it'd be embarrassing if it wasn't so ridiculously funny. But anyway, so I was able to kind of get a little bit of clothing on Ish and make sure the robe was still over me. And then I was so exhausted from doing that, I laid down on the floor just to rest. Yep. And that point, I don't know what point, because I think I probably lightly lost consciousness. I don't know. And then Joel came in to say goodbye because he was headed back home to his place. He'd been back at, we have some acreage and a shop, and happened to be heading past my room and looks and goes, "Mom, what are you doing laying on the floor?" And then he realizes, oh, she's in trouble. So called. Yeah. I think he asked me something. I was coherent enough to, tell him, yeah, and I think I am having a stroke, buddy. And he called and was so incredibly calm and collected and just asking me questions. And they were, so yeah. Then, I can give you kind of the rest till we get to hospital if you want. Then he got the ground down transportation.
You were
ambulance.
Conscious, like, throughout this?
Yeah, enough. Yeah. I remember I remember being so relieved because his middle school football coach was the attending EMT. Oh, good. Joel has someone there with him. Wherever the mama, we know wherever the parent. Once you're a parent, you're always a parent. So I knew Mike, his football. I thought, okay, someone's there for Joel, someone he really trusts. And so Mike, his football coach, said, we're going to call for life flight. It kind of let him know it was bad enough. We needed to get me. It was 45 minutes to the nearest hospital. So they got me on a helicopter, which is about a mile away from my house. And I wanted Joel to be able to come with me, but they looked at the medic who was going to be with them, et cetera, and wait. And they couldn't he had to drive up to the hospital to meet me there. When I think he got there, but this stuff's fuzzy because A, I wasn't with him, and B, I'm kind of in and out, I think. But I do remember he was there at the hospital taking care of all of the paperwork. But at some point, the attending physician knew I don't know when they wheeled me in for a crane or a CAT scan. And I don't remember that, but I do remember the attending physician saying, "We cannot take care of you here. We do not have the staff available to take care of you here. Is it okay if we fly you to Portland to get someone?" I said, "Yeah, if we can just get rid of this headache." And so, all I'm wanting to do is let's get rid of the headache. And I think I asked about Joel at that point there. He rode with me or maybe he didn't ride with me to the airport. So in all of this, Oregon was in a flame. There had been a huge fire in the Portland area. They could not, right. So the smoke was so thick, they could not helicopter me to Portland. They had to then ground transport me out to the airport so they could fixed wing me, get in a fixed wing plane, land, near Portland, and then ground transport me to the hospital, which they did. So
not to make light of your. Yeah, not to make light of your story, but your story would make a great Grey's Anatomy episode.
I'm not sure which part. Maybe the flying here, going there, blah, blah, blah. So many steps.
No, everything.
Yeah.
Sounds like an episode.
Yeah.
It was quite an episode.
Just bringing light to this story. Yeah.
It is. It is pretty funny. I think I had told you this, Kathy, and Joel at times gets annoyed with his mother. Weird, huh? About it, because I'm always like, I just don't really have a story. He goes, Mom, everybody says that. I'm like, but I love hearing everyone else's story. And he just gets so annoyed because I don't see myself in the having a story position, but I'm here greedily taking in everyone else's story because I love their story. So you're lucky to be getting that. Not you're lucky, but this is a rare.
Well, we are very humbled that you would give us the honor of talking to you and sharing your story. Like I said before, I think everyone's story is worth sharing because, at the end of the day, it could reach someone at the right place at the right time. Just going through exactly what you went through, even have some, few moments that, you look back and you're like, it was a serious condition, but hey, it was there was some light-hearted moments. Now, this was in 2018, correct?
It was August of 2018. And I was at the time in a very training for a half, but couldn't find one because, again, the state was so on fire. And where I was, I don't know if you've ever been in the fire, but you get the color of air quality. And we were in the purple. We were in eggplant, which, it's like, you don't be running out there, lady. And so it was so frustrating to get training in and then to find a half in close enough that I could, that wasn't on fire. Yeah, it was a tricky time, so I'll just lob that piece in. But anyways, Joel, his football coach, when they loaded me on the helicopter, Joel said, "Hey, for real, what do you think? How is she?" He goes, "Not good." So got me up. Anyway, so we got through the whole air fixed wing, blah, 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 up in Portland, get me to the hospital. I don't know how they did this, but I am one of 5 siblings. All of them were there. My kids and some friends, nieces and nephews. This is 3 hours from where I live. We had I read the chaplain notes and he wasn't sure he'd ever seen a waiting room so large, an emergency waiting room so full of people. Yeah, got me. Yeah, so well loved. Great family, great supportive family. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it says a lot about, they say, it says a lot about a person by the amount of friends they have and the amount of families that show up for you. And I mean, clearly you are loved and very fortunate to be here sitting and talking to us. But you know me, son, I wanted to talk to you for a long time. So once I found out that you were a runner, I was like, she's because there's not many survivors out there that do share much about their journey other than on their anniversary. I call it anniversary. So, when I saw that one video of you learning to literally walk again, and I think you said something about running, and I was so intrigued. So I always made a mental note that if we were to ever have another season of Doing Good, you were going to be right on the top. And so thank you again for being here. Yeah.
But
let's continue.
I know, but can I just say how delightful it is to follow you, both of you, just all the work you do. I'm just so appreciative because it does matter. So thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. So when you got to Portland, did you, throughout this, I know you're kind of in and out, but do you remember anything about what the doctors said or finally telling you what was going on or what they needed to do? Yeah,
there was a point where, so they had the ER doctors who apparently didn't quite know what to do with me. And at some point they said, let's just let her keep just stabilizing. And a neurosurgeon, my husband was saying that the neurosurgeon was standing to the side, let those guys have their say, and then pulled my family aside and said, we're going to lose her if we don't get her into surgery now. And they said, okay. Take her. I remember her telling me, you need to do this surgery. We're going to have to go into your brain and kind of talking to me. I'm like, yeah, okay, if we can just get rid of this headache. I said, if it'll get rid of the headache. She was going to go through all the things that could go wrong in surgery. And I'm like, I don't care. I just need to be out of this headache. I didn't have one of those shockingly all of a sudden headaches. It didn't come on fast. It just came on slowly. I remember in the plane, I could feel it again getting worse. And I asked, they were giving me fentanyl or some. So I asked for fentanyl at that point, at which point, one more little story. The medic was saying to Joel, how does she know? I mean, what does she know about fentanyl? I'm sure they were thinking, oh my God, is she an addict or something? He goes, it's my mom. She always knows this stuff. I just remember these little blips of stuff from him along the way. Yeah, it was my mom. She just, I was cold.
I love it though.
It's my mom.
I love
She's
it.
always cold. Yeah, it's just, but if there's this thread, my kid's voice through it. That's what I think kept bringing me back as I'd hear him go, okay, keep going, girl. You can make it through. Just keep, I don't remember having those words, but I think there was that sense of just survive. He's here. Survive. Yeah. So I did. Anyway, so I do remember the neurosurgeon telling me that that's what we would need to do. And I remember she asked me a couple of little things. I love to paddleboard, a couple of other things. And I remember quipping off a couple of jokes and they thought that was kind of a good thing. And then they wheeled me off. And the next thing I kind of remember is them I guess, pinching my shoulder, but it felt like an electric jolt. So that's kind of the thing I remember after surgery. And then someone asking me something, and I remember quipping a joke and them saying again, well, she's still joking. And that's all that's that kind of, because you're medicated
that's
too. So, yeah. So that's about all I remember until I wake up eventually in a tracheotomy and just going, I want this thing out. It hurt.
Yeah. So what exactly, or what was the procedure that you ended up having?
So the first craniotomy, the one they did, right as the rupture, was just enough to release some pressure. And when she was a great neurosurgeon, she drilled in cut in just in the right place. When she lifted the bone out, the clotted blood that had been bleeding had already clotted, coagulated. She pulled it out and it was right there. She goes, like an eighth of a cup. And she goes, a lot of pressure there, girl. So then, so we didn't know what caused it at that point. And I remember her coming and talking to me. I'm saying well, I had a stroke. And she goes, well, not really. She said, you had a brain bleed. And I said, oh, an aneurysm. She goes, no, it was not she knew it was not an aneurysm. But I'm like, well, what's left? Well, I found out later. So anyway, it was not until, it was maybe a month or two later that we really did know that it was an arterial venous malformation rupture. Took a while. So I was I was ICU hospital for a week, and then I was transferred to inpatient rehab, which you're probably familiar with.
Yeah. So total, how long were you in from the craniotomy to rehab to being able to go home?
2 months, almost exactly.
The time frame.
Yeah, wow. It was on August 15th, the rupture, and I think I was released from the rehab on October 18th. So it's right in there, 2 months. It was long. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was certain that you had your sense of humor before your craniotomy, and then when you came back out. Now, what did you have to relearn anything? What were your deficits?
Oh my gosh. So I had, there still are. I had left neglect. If you have a right side, bleed or stroke, sometimes you'll have what's called left neglect, meaning you don't know you have a left side. I don't know how familiar you are with it. Yeah, and if I were to draw a clock,
this is very new to me.
Is it? Okay, so if I were to draw a clock, in the very beginning, I would have put numbers only on the right side of the clock. There would be nothing on the left because there is no left side of the clock. It's a fascinating, if I hadn't had to live through it, I would think this is the most fascinating stuff ever. Yeah, and so, I slowly progressed. And my neurosurgeon told my family, especially my kiddos, that the patients who do the best and recover the most fully are those who have family really, really involved in their therapy. Amelia, who was 24 at the time, is just a delight. She would only stand on my left side and would not even she would not respond to me unless I looked at her to the left. Because since there was no left, I would just answer her if I was laying in my bed straightforward. Mama, you got to look at me. She was just driven. My left neglect ebbed away much faster than most people's. And I credit that kid. She was brutal. Can't hear you. Anyway, so so that left awesome. Neglect is awful because it can make it so you can't.
You have two wonderful kids, that's for sure.
I do. They're amazing. But so left neglect is really a big deficit. Yeah, because you can't drive if you don't know there's something to your left. You don't know where your left hand. I don't always. I even still sometimes my left hand will be lost to me. Yeah, so much happens if you don't have one. If you're not going to be turning to the left to check to see if that car's coming because there's nothing over there. There's not even a left. Yeah, it's fascinating. So yes, I had that, and then hemiparesis. Wow. Because, the whole left side was affected I had, learning to walk or use a hand, et cetera, yeah. And, the cognitive function, while I was there on the your right temporal lobe really houses the visuospatial. recognition area of your brain. And so I was, I'm trying to think about, so visuospatially, I was no longer scanning. You constantly are scanning. You don't know it. You have no idea that your eyes are kind of moving up and down, scanning above and below. My visuospatial stopped doing that. And so I would have to constantly, I would be told to scan. And it took me a long time to even understand what they were saying because it's so automatic. We don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was more, I think from
so you would just focus on one location.
Yeah, or more
or
of
one
just
level?
straight. Yeah, one level. Well said. One level.
straight.
Everything straight ahead, nothing to the side, maybe a little to the right,
wow.
definitely none to the left, and just straight ahead. Yeah, which is kind of dangerous. You get lost very easily, believe me, because you're just not scanning. And then there's, I don't know if you had this, Kathy, but the short-term memory was not getting things to the long-term memory for a long time either. So there were memory.
Yeah, oh no, I was just saying, in my case, I was very fortunate to have very minimal deficit in the beginning. I think the only thing I could remember was I was very sensitive to noise, certain smell. I'm quite loud in terms of my volume. A lot of people say I do not need a microphone or a megaphone
Yeah,
when
I
I'm
love that
coaching.
noise.
But but when I was talking, I think the first maybe week or two, I was very quiet. I was like a mouse, and everyone was like, "This is not Kathy," because she's usually so vibrant. Like my voice is sometimes deafening. But no, I was very fortunate. I think the only thing that I had to really get over was how tired I was, and I'm sure I have shared this multiple times that I was very resigned to ever running again, and that's what I would like to talk to you about later on, unless Rob would has any other.
Yeah, keep going.
I wanted to talk a little bit more about your recovery and kind of the mental side of it. So did you recognize these deficit and did it affect you mentally?
Yes and no. Some of them I had to be told about because I think they were outwardly more were larger than they were internally. I had thought process. My processes were there, but being able to excavate and get it out was so exhausting that I Kathy, the fatigue, and there was brain fog. But you could, if you wanted to ask me and multiply anything, I could do it. Or even just, I was a consultant at the time and there were projects I was wrapping up. And I was able to dig into my brain to get that information, but it would lay me out for hours and hours because the exhaustion was probably the largest deficit. But I will tell you right as they moved me into inpatient, they did a cognitive test and said I was moderate to severely impacted, which sent me into a spiral because I understood what that meant. And that was so depressing. It still hits me today. And it wasn't true. And there was a piece of me that knew that it wasn't true. It's just when they had done the testing and the way it was done and I still didn't quite understand what had happened to me because we didn't have a name completely for it. And I have so much appreciation for therapy and the medical staff, but I think in some respects I was higher functioning and needed so much more information than they knew how to give me. If someone could have helped me go, look, here's what happened. Your brain feels like it just got hit with a frying pan. You're going to feel stunned for a while. Everybody's different. And you might have this, but this is the thing you need to do. And I was called impulsive because I would forget that I felt okay in a way. So I'd want to get up and use the bathroom. Well, I was a fall risk. And I remember them calling me impulsive. And I'm like, it was painful to hear because I'm like, oh my God, am I always going to be impulsive? I didn't even know what they meant by impulsive. I didn't know that they meant, she has the impulse to do something. But when we're kids, what does impulsive mean? It means we have not done the right thing. We're doing things we ought not whenever we're impulsive as children. Yeah. It's just so difficult. So anyway, those were hard times in there. Again, I think the staff was great. I think I was not their maybe normal patient. I don't know. I needed so much more information than they knew that I knew how to ask. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's the thing we've found talking to so many survivors, that it's so different individual to individual. And, you know, maybe sometimes if they haven't experienced or meeting someone that's has the, you know, the same kind of symptoms as you, or the same, you know. And also your past has a lot to do with it, right? Like your background,
that one.
your capability, you know, all that. Like they don't know.
No, they don't. They didn't know that I was this person who was incredibly interested already in neurology, raised by a nurse who always used the appropriate terms and told us. So I had this whole base of information, and they didn't know that I could understand. But yeah, so there's that aspect. It was devastating to me, honestly, emotionally, and because I just kept thinking I was going to be stuck like this, and that my kids were forever going to be taking care of me in the state I was in. And that was like not okay with me. I am married, and my husband, unfortunately at the time, was visited with some PTSD due to a family experience he'd had at the age of 19 that was somewhat similar, and just absolutely, I won't say incapacitated him. He came through as much as he could, but it was a very, very difficult time for him too. You know, we both were suffering. And, you know, he's back into a place where he's kind of done some therapy, and, you know, he's in a much better place. But the kids are the ones who really got in and, you know, just made sure I had the support, and my siblings, but made sure I had the support. But it was my kids. But I do remember, Rob, back to your question, at one point, I'm pretty stoic. But one point sitting in that, you know, I was in rehab, that bed, and just thinking I'm going to be like this, and finally breaking down. I just finally broke down and just sobbed, because it's like, I can't see my way out of this. And I've never been in anything I can't see my way out of. And that was hard. It was so hard to dig in and find that resilience. And I know resilience is that the times that you're the most resilient are when you feel the least resilient. And I think that probably was one of those moments too. It's like I was being resilient. It's just, it didn't feel like it. I just felt so, it was awful. So yeah, on. So I mean, that's fine.
How do you think how do you think you worked yourself through that?
Some of it's me.
Yeah, mentally or
but
emotionally.
But when your kids are working that hard they were so immersed in me and my therapy and making sure I could do everything. You know, Joel didn't miss a physical therapy session or an occupational therapy session or SLP. He didn't miss a session. He quit school to make sure his mama got the support she needed. Amelia took all of her PTO to make sure mama got what she needed. How do you not rise to that occasion? I mean, as a parent, those kids, I mean, they were amazing. And so,
absolutely.
It's kind of, you know, the luck of it is, you guys, I got to see the people my kids were and are. You know, who gets that chance? Yeah, when they're 22 and 24, we're so, you know, usually you're thinking, I don't know. But yeah, we saw who they are. They're amazing.
They're still growing up.
Yeah.
Right. They're still supposed to be going through all that hard stuff, not knowing who they are.
As parents, of course, we always, Yeah. And I was saying, you know, as parents, of course, we're always very doting on our children. We have the utmost praises for them. But I mean, in your case, I could just see it in your eyes. Like when you talked about them, you know, you clearly light up. But that is so fortunate that you had your two kids. And, you know,
for 100%.
Hey, whatever works, that, and clearly they were your anchor.
Yeah, they were, and they're, that's just who they are. Go ahead.
I'm assuming that was sorry. So I'm assuming it was a fairly long journey for you, right? Of years. So kind of fast forwarding to now, or I guess to recent history, when did you start to, that's probably what Kathy wanted to ask, but when did you start thinking about, going back to running, or what got you to
I
start
never
thinking about
stopped thinking about it. So I had a resection of the AVM in February of 2019, just about exactly 6 months after the rupture. I had the resection where they go in, they repair the AVM, they loop around, because the AVM is this tangle of blood vessels that your arteries and your veins get all wrapped up and knotted up and then kind of explode. And so they went in and resected that when I went back to Rochester, Minnesota, to have that done at the Mayo Clinic. So that's kind of where you restart. I restarted a little bit because, brain surgery is brain surgery. So it kind of sets you back a little bit. But by the summer of probably June of 2019, so less than a year after, Joel was absolutely, my mom's going to run again. Because the year before, he had, in 2017, quote unquote, team managed a half marathon I'd done, and he enjoyed the support. He just knew so he got me in the pool, had me trying to run in the pool. He took me to the high school track from where he graduated. And then, because Joel is who Joel is, finagled a way to get into the football shed. I'm not sure. We won't ask questions here. And so he got out, like the ladders. He had me going through ladder drills. And then there's those, it's kind of like a sled pull thing, but he didn't put the sled on it. I don't know exactly what it is because, it was not that long after I got sick. And he'd have me run. He'd pull back, it's around my waist, and he's hanging onto it like I'm a draft horse in the front and having me try to run. And
okay. Resistance training.
Thank you. Yes. Anyway, so, stuff that things that were in that football shed that kid had out. There were cones. There were, again, ladder drills. And then he'd take me over to the long jump and made me go left, so that I'd get more of that left side. So many things I can't even remember. I do remember whenever he's like, go over there and run. He's telling me, run as fast as you can. Well, I looked like My Little Pony trying to trot, and he's over on the grass dying laughing and telling me to go and run. Because it looks so ridiculous. And it does look ridiculous because that left leg can't do it. But yeah, so he was so disciplined. And so I don't remember ever not wanting to run again at all. That was always on the list. And I think for my kids, it was always on the list, that and paddleboarding. And so he spent so much time with that. He also took me, so maybe I told you this, Kathy, maybe not, but the trail run that I was on is around a lake that on that exact trail, Joel would take me up to that and send me one direction. He'd go the next. The other direction, we'd say, we'll meet back in 20 minutes, whatever thing I could do. And that's where I also learned to run. And so he could get his run in and, still have a little bit of time to himself too. And where I lived at the time, I have since moved, but the house we raised our kids in, we have 100+ acres of standing timber and trails throughout it. And they're soft dirt trails, so it's mostly uphill though, which is really helpful for my relearning to help maybe on this, Kathy, that I think it made me somewhat find those glutes a bit in my left side. So I would go uphill. Plus, it's a shorter distance to fall if you're going uphill. So if things got out of control, and they did completely, but also I would go out for walks and then try running up our driveway, and every once in a while I would feel so good, and I'd immediately text the kids, gosh, running felt almost normal today. Aww. And then it'd be months later before it ever felt like that again. I mean, I don't know if you remember in your rehab even that you think you have it and then boom, it's not there anymore.
No, yeah. Oh yeah, I ran my first mile, a very slow one, like exactly 2 months after I was discharged, and here I was like, I could do that marathon in the fall. Oh. This is May, and at that time I would run a marathon every fall. Yeah, and so there were a lot of those moments like that you feel so light and you just feel like the stride. It was like it's clicking. Everything just felt quote unquote normal again.
Exactly.
And then you have like this such high. Yeah, you have this they call it the runner high, but I was like deeply high from that very few short steps, and it feels like you can conquer anything. Like I said, I thought I was gonna call up.
Go ahead.
No, I get it. But those are moments that you cherish, whether it didn't happen for a while later, but you hang on to those deep feelings of such, call it gratitude, or call it yourself again, feeling normal again.
Exactly. And I have to tell you, my story is a lot darker in the sense where it took me a long time to feel joy. I faked joy. Really, it's just been recent after I went to neuroanimation, which we'll talk about. That's when I could feel joy again. But I faked I was such a faker for 7 years. I got to tell you, because those kids deserved me to fake it. And I spent so much time recovering from any activity on the sofa. There'd be weeks on end that I ran a 10K last summer, and I was laid out for 2 weeks just wanting to run. And you start thinking, do I do these things? Because all I'm going to do is lay on my sofa. I can't cook myself dinner. I can't, it was horrific. So it's hard to feel joy. So I have there were a lot of days I was not delighted to be alive. Now, every day, I am like, damn, I am so happy to be alive. But it took 7 years to get there, you guys. And that's probably why it was hard to tell my story too. Because anytime I would tell that part of my story, people would want to deny that part of my story. It's real. Like it or not, it's real. When
and I'm so glad. So glad that you're sharing this part, because it's the raw part. It's the ugly part. It's the ugly part that makes it so much more, I don't want to say meaningful, but so much more powerful. Call it.
It is, and it's reality.
I always say you have to, and you have to validate those feelings. And like I said, that's the pure reason why I wanted you to talk to us, is so that you can share the happy moments and the moments that are not so happy, because I'm sure you have heard it. There are so many people out there that do not have the amount of support that perhaps you have had with your children, and myself with my, with Rob and my twins. They're small, but they were small, but they knew that mom had to get better. And so please, if anything, I always tell people, please share your story, because it will make such a difference. It would resonate with someone, and they're like, you know what, I went through the exact same thing, and look at Sand now. She's feeling and that joy again. But we have to. But we always have to validate.
So sorry. That's the piece that probably was the
no, it's
because
okay.
And I looked so together. I mean, people are like, man, you look so normal, etc. So then that begs the question, why are you not delighted, not happy? It wasn't that I wasn't happy to be alive, because I knew it was good for my kids. But the feeling of, before the blowout with my kids, once again, they call it the great end of the summer blowout. So when the brain blew, as they say, I was this person who would wake up in the morning, just like grab the morning and go. So this real shift in my personality of not being delighted to be alive was really something I had to reckon with, even though I understood where it came from. And then there was the piece where this fatigue led to also depression. It wasn't that depression was leading to the fatigue, because it would come. If I would do too much, boom. This deep, dark depression meant I had to lay on the sofa for 2 weeks, depending upon how deep it was. And no one wants to live on their sofa. People go, oh gosh, you get to nap all day. Oh yeah, well that's a lot of fun. You try that for a life. And that's what I kept seeing in front of me, is that, am I going to do this all my life? It's awful. Yeah. But you still, even in the midst of that, you guys, I would find those bright pieces to keep me going. All those little, you find you find the things to live for. And running was one of them. It's like this doc who told me I'd never run again, never run a 13.1 again. I'm like, oh, fine. I mean, I know Joel's just like her face, you're like, okay, here, hold my beer. I mean, I'm not angry at him. I'll take it back now. Thank you. But I think it was, Amelia and I were talking about that this weekend, that the doc was probably trying to be really quite realistic. And do I want to do another one? I don't know. It hurts like hell. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. Yeah, he wasn't completely wrong. I was not, I may not, I don't know, run one the way I used to run one. But we'll see. I'm still not convinced I won't. I may need to go do more of this neuroanimation therapy and see, we'll see. But yeah.
Yeah, tell us more about that.
You mentioned, I was going to ask about that because you'd mentioned that VR therapy.
What exactly is VR?
Okay.
Therapy.
So you guys, this is, and do please look it up when you're done here because this is really important. It is called, the name of the clinic is called Neuroanimation. Dr. Omar Ahmad was one of the research people out of Johns Hopkins who developed this technology. They were kind of tasked with find something that can help escalate stroke recovery or brain injury recovery. So they thought, well, we'll try this in virtual reality. So they have a clinic in New Albany, Ohio, and now one in Lexington, Kentucky. You go into, I did 3 weeks in Ohio. You go into a theater that's it's kind of a screen in front of you, but there are cameras all over that track your every movement. So I would go into the theater, my hand would be guiding this octopus and sometimes fish. So while you're in there doing that, I'm trying to have to play this game to go smash these balls with the octopus. Well, it means that in my hippocampus, that things are rewiring. It's kind of like my brain knows I have these capabilities, but can't find them. So it goes in and floods the hippocampus with oxygenated blood, and then the synapses start, or I should say rewiring. You start rewiring the brain. And so I did that. I would go in, do theater work an hour, then come out, do in the gym where they call consolidation, which then they would put me through my paces. I might be doing cognitive work, might be doing cognitive and movement work at the same time. Like for some people, it's just stepping over a tiny little hurdle to get that foot up, to get their their left side working again. And then would go back into the theater after consolidation for an hour. So it's 3 hours a day for 3 weeks, 5 days a week. So it's 15 days of therapy. And it is astoundingly beneficial. My rate of climbing stairs by probably midweek, I was outpacing Dawn, my husband, on going up, and I was, I think, on the 4th floor or so of the hotel. So I'd take the stairs and I could outpace him. That weekend we went for a kind of
You don't sound competitive at all.
And I am so competitive with me. And I'm not, and I am. But yeah, shut up, Kathy. I hate being seen. But yeah, and it was like, he was kind of like, anyway, okay. So then we went for a hike and we were stepping over logs and I'm keeping up with him and he's just like, something's going on. And what I also was afraid of, because remember I've talked about this horrible fatigue. It is. And so I'm concerned about this fatigue that I have, so that I don't think I'm going to be able to make it through all these sessions because I would ordinarily not be able to.
Yeah.
It was like almost immediately. And I thought, well, this is just that placebo effect, San, and it was like so, in fact, by I think the end of the week, I needed to do something with our airline tickets. And that kind of cognitive work would have laid me out. I wouldn't have done it because I would have known it was going to take so much, would be such an impact on my ability to just do anything. I was like, no, I can do this, and did, and was awake. I mean, you guys are talking to me today. You would not have been talking to me today if I had not been in Ohio doing that virtual reality therapy. It's
wow.
I really want you to look it up. There's a young woman, Maddie Nybank, who is why I'm doing it. She had an arterial venous malformation rupture too, and her little fist, I always knew her with a fist like this. She's in the stroke community, and I got to, watch her learn to pinch, be able to open a door, and her hand to bring it up to door and open a door. No, it's real. I would not be telling you about it if it wasn't. I mean, I did hyperbaric oxygen therapy too, and felt like I got a lot of benefit from it, but not even remotely like what I got at Neuroanimation. Yeah, highly recommend if you can afford it and you have had any kind of brain injury, do it. It's phenomenal. And for cognitive, they're actually, for people who have Parkinson's and Alzheimer's, they're finding a lot of efficacy there too. So yeah, check it out.
That's awesome. That's definitely something I'm going to look into. That sounds very interesting. And so, like now, sort of longer term, or like your current state, even a little bit far removed from having that immediate therapy. So it's continued to reduce your fatigue.
Oh yeah, I was
post workout.
Yeah, exactly. And I do have a home headset that I use. I think I sleep better when I use the headset, something I've kind of drilled in on, but just to keep things fresh. But I didn't use the headset for, I think, 2 months because I still have shoulder issues, and I'm using my arm. And so from the stroke, the shoulder issues. And so I use it. I took 2 months off. Sorry, I lost my train, but took 2 months off and still I'm not tired. It's stuck. I think that's the other piece of it that people, I'll go back for another session because I'm like, hey, I'm 66 years old.
Yeah,
if I can keep my So at 66, I mean, as we age, cognitive function can decline, and I'm not looking forward to that. I already went through this thing. So yeah, it's good for just age. Yeah.
Yeah, and why not keep progressing if you can, right? So
exactly.
So San, what would you say? What would you say your goals are nowadays, or for the near future? I know after you've tackled the 13.1.
Yeah, well, it isn't a 26.2. It is not a 26.2. I definitely will continue to run.
You never know.
I know, and I hate it when I say stuff like that because my kids are marathoners, and my daughter's boyfriend, who was part of my support crew this weekend, he is too. So they're doing the California International Marathon in December.
Oh, yes, so, I've done that one. Yeah. That's a good one.
Amelia's done that one once, but yeah. Anyway, that was her first, and she called me crying because she was in so much pain. It was so hard, but I mean, because it was her first. Your first one, you're just like, it's devastating. But anyway, so I definitely to continue running, but honestly, when I look at the video of me running and how it feels, it is to be able to get that myself more connected, that brain more connected to my left side. There's a lot of pain. My big toe is erect, but I don't have proprioception much on my left side. So while my toenail is in pain, and when you know your toenail in pain, it's not fun, as we runners know. And, but my brain doesn't exactly know where that pain is coming from. And so it sends, I don't know why, so it ends up feeling like, think of, the big marbles, but a lot of sharp edges. Feels like that's in the bottom of my foot when I'm running, and I can't get away from it. So I have to continue running on that, and I don't want to have to do that. So if I'm more connected, that's why I want to go back to neuroanimation, see if we can begin more connection. So that unfortunately, not only is it like running on a broken marble, it's also sending a lot of spasticity and tone up and down my entire left side. So it's really hard to move it. I have to really focus on bend that knee, make sure you get some good heel strike to get that toe away from the end of that shoe, so there's a lot of thinking I have to do just to run. It's, so I probably have to fuel at least as much as you fuel for a marathon. I have to for a half, just to keep my brain engaged with my leg or my left side. And I would love to, a pie in the sky goal is to be able to run freely again. And we'll see if we can get there. I mean, I'm happy, or enough freely where I'm not wanting to cry at mile 9, because that's when things kind of seem to hit in the pain. And Amelia and I were talking. I said, yeah, I don't go into a pain cave. I go into a pain spiral, because it's not like my body was so strong, you guys. I was so strong, felt so good, but my left side was so done with it. It was just like, I'm out. And I'm like, no, you got to stay here, buddy. We fondly call him Lefty. You got to stay in the game, and you have to just ignore it and go, because it's not pain that it's not pain that's physically harming me. Pain is just really, really tight muscles not wanting to do what they need to do because of these mixed messages coming from the brain. It's all brain disconnection stuff. Yeah. So that would be it. Continue running. I mean,
oh my God. Now here. Yeah. Oh, I was sorry. I'm just so inspired when you said all this. It's like running alone is in itself can be so hard, but just knowing that you have to really be in tune with your body and mentally too. Gosh, that's major props to you, Sean, for getting through 15.1 and Lefty somehow cooperated.
Lefty worked. He worked so hard.
How was recovery though?
I'm so stinking impressed with myself. I trained hard, you guys, and
you should.
And I am just so delighted. So I think I took a mini nap after the race. We went out, had a little food. And because Amelia's all about fuel, because she knows the brain thing is fuel, fuel, fuel. And so we went out, had a little celebration food, laid on the sofa, maybe, I don't know, I don't even think I slept 15 minutes. And I was up and going. And then yesterday I was up and around. I took a lay down yesterday. Amelia was still here, so I was wanting to spend time with her. I walked 2 miles. I'll walk anywhere for coffee. I mean, I'll walk whatever distance necessary. And I have a darling little bakery called the Hideaway Bakery that's just a mile walk from my house. So I walked down and back. My toenail was pretty unhappy with me about that decision, but I was able to do that, and I could never have done that. And that's what I'm so joyous about this new phase of my life, that I can feel that joy even in the pain, and I get more joy out of running even. And I'm slow. You guys, I am so slow. I don't know if you saw my numbers, but it's like I'm at 13. If I go 13.5, maybe.
Stop. Well, stop. Okay, I'm going to tell you right now. I am one of those runners that, I'm not as competitive as I used to be. Stop, Rob. I'm really not. Once I got a lot of some of the keys marathon out of the way, I became much more. Now I'm running to really enjoy the distance. I respect 26.2. Yeah. Okay. But, shoot, my train of thought. What were, I fog.
I was also telling you, I was denigrating
my speed. Stop, about your pace. Oh.
Thank you.
Yeah, Yeah.
No, yes. So what I was trying to say is whenever I go online and I see someone did like a half full, whatever, and I was like, I just want to kind of see what type of runner they are. And of course I did look yours up, but you made it simple. You shared it. And I'm going to tell you right now, you compared to a lot of the people that I follow, and I've coached quite a few, you are not slow. That is not a snail pace at all. And remember, even if it's a paved trail, you have very little push off. Yes. Yeah.
No, I have to
tell on, asphalt. Yeah. But no, true. I think your pace was very admirable. Yeah. Especially for your comeback. My goodness. Mm-hmm. Hey, that's amazing. Not a lot of people can run a sub 3, okay? Not a lot of people can run a sub 3 half. Yeah. And I'm not saying anything about the age group, because yes, it is true. Right. I'm hoping that the older I get, I could retain a little bit of my speed. But, it does decline. And I was telling Rob, I was like, she ran such a decent pace.
I was so consistent too.
And then knowing, yeah. Oh, that's even harder to keep consistent. Usually people positives, but I mean, anyways, I can go on and on about how such an amazing race you ran. I like I said, I give you props for running a half to begin with, and then knowing that it was a trail, I was like, geez, this lady's just showing off.
She's trying. Well, and
don't ever sell yourself short.
Exactly.
And I try not to. I also, because when you're in the running community, you want them to, there's that a little element is like, okay, I know the speed it is, people, but if you had any idea. But I also know there were women my age who ran significant, faster. They were in the 12s or the 10s. And I have so much admiration for the women who were on that podium with me. They are amazing. They were just... I think the thing that we have to remember, no matter what, it's hard on all of us. Everyone hurts in it. Yeah, I might have some extenuating circumstances, but when Amelia saw that her mama was going to hit a sub 3, she came out. I mean, you guys all cry here because it's really hard to run and sob at the same time, by the way. She came, Mama, because I couldn't see the finish line and I didn't know it was there. And she thought, why is she not speeding up? So she ran out there. She goes, Mom, it's right. Yeah. I'm like, oh, it's right there. I thought it was a store sign, but anyway, glasses weren't on. And she goes, you can get a sub 3. And so she ran with me a couple of steps, just kept me going. And then so I burst into tears because I'm like, Millie, because I call her Millie. It was so sweet. So I'm trying not to cry and trying to breathe and trying to speed my pace and did. Yeah. So God just squeaked under. It was so awesome. She was the best coach ever because she coached me remotely.
You did it. You did.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. It was awesome.
Well, I don't know if you can read my T-shirt, but I've been wearing, our signatures. We Run With You T-shirts on every podcast that we are doing. But today I specifically wanted to wear this one. It says, "We do hard things." And I wanted to wear this one only for you because what you did, San, is nothing short of extraordinary. And
it was hard.
I'm just really
Kathy.
Proud of you. Please do
and
not
now we're
ever
do it together. But
don't ever sell yourself short.
Thank you.
Don't ever sell yourself short. You did a wonderful thing.
Right.
I mean, you did it for yourself, and you did it the best you could. And just don't ever sell yourself short, and always continue to do hard things, no matter what the outcome may be. Okay, now I'm gonna stop because.
Well, Sam, we always kind of we're nearing the end here, and we could talk to you for days, but we always end our podcasts with some rapid fire questions. So hopefully you're ready.
Oof. Okay, this is not a rapid fire brain, but knock yourself out. We'll see what happens.
Well, we'll go for it. So the first one is when life gets overwhelming, what do you do to reset?
I meditate, or I call it my sit. I just go out and have a lovely backyard, and I just go out and sit, listen to the birds, and go and breathe. Yeah, that I don't know what I did before the brain blowout, but I do that now.
Where would you say is your quote unquote happy place?
Any dinner table with my family around. Long dinner. We're talking 3 hours, lots of good conversation. My happy place would be there. And if it's not there, it's in the middle of the lake on a paddleboard or walking or hiking. Anything that's either, if it's not about gabbing with people I absolutely adore and eating good food, it's going to be some movement out in the, there's going to be a lot of tree life and a lot of water life around. Whoops, I thought I lost an ear. Yeah. My left ear doesn't know when it loses things.
Okay.
No, it's I think it's okay.
Okay.
So when you're running, nowadays when you're running, would you say you're running from something or towards something?
Absolutely two. And maybe in the beginning I was running from, but now it's completely to. And that changed long enough ago that maybe, two two, absolutely two, maybe the whole way. Well, apparently, I'm not sure about that. Yeah, you want to help me here? Yeah, two, completely.
No, I can see that. I can see that. Yeah, a lot of times I think when we do run away from something. I run to clear my head, but I think in our case now we run towards our goals or towards our well, I don't know. Yeah. Not putting words in your mouth, but
no,
okay.
But kind of
We'll take two.
Yeah, and toward life. I mean, because we had life either, we brushed up against death. Let's be honest. So when you brush up against death, and especially now, it's like I'm just running. When I run, I'm always so I live in Eugene, Oregon, where often the Olympic trials are held. And the University of Oregon always has a great so I am around these brilliant, elite runners go flying past me. And they're so sweet. Most of them give you a hi or a high five as you go by. Little old lady, it's easy. They don't want to trip over me. But I get to see these beautiful, elite runners flinging by. And there's something so freeing in watching their bodies move so beautifully. That even though mine might not do that or never did, but it's very treed. I have the path that I run on right out, it's a block away from my house is a wood chip path, specifically for runners. And so it's so easy. I'm so grateful when I'm out there. There's trees and plants and it's just beautiful. So yeah, I feel so lucky to be able to go out there and run toward that too. It's joyous.
Oh, that's awesome.
So last one, what advice would you have for someone going through what you went through these past several years?
Two things. It's always yet. You can say I can't do something, but it's always end it with yet. But even first and foremost would be if you have any way of getting into a neuroanimation clinic, get there because you'll bump yourself ahead so much faster and further. So your recovery is going to be so much faster and more complete, in my opinion. Of course, I'm not a doc, you got to talk to docs on that, but that's my advice. Yeah. Yet, and get the therapies you can that can afford. And of course, don't give up, Run uphill. If you got to run up the hill.
Yeah, never give up.
Yeah. So I am really, from the progress you've shared, I'm really very interested in seeing how you progress here in the coming months and years. So please keep sharing your story because I'm looking forward to hearing, what's next and how you progress.
Yep. Thank you. Thanks, you guys.
And and thank you for sharing your story with us. It's been so much fun talking with you. And,
well, you already know from me that I am so grateful that, it's almost like I had to ask you twice because you were a bit hesitant, but I'm so happy that you decided to, take me on and have this lovely chat. Learned so much about
good
you,
words.
and
Oops,
thank you. I try my best to make sure that anyone that I talk to, or especially when we invite to come talk to us and to share your journey, to have them understand how important their story is. Yeah. And again, I'm so grateful that you decided to join us today. And congratulations again on having such an amazing comeback. I can't wait to hear about more comebacks, possibly, maybe in Philly, but we'll leave that for another time. So thank you, San.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you, guys. It's a pleasure to me.
We Run With You is a nonprofit with a mission to improve the lives of people suffering from brain injury and disease by funding research, raising awareness, and providing support for survivors and their families. Find out more at werunwithyou.org. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and leave a comment or review. Until next time, keep doing good.